Emily Severry.
Arlene Schofield.
My name is Shireen Snow.
My name is Carla A. Miles.
Diana Camuto.
This is Christine Dunford.
I'm me, Eden.
Caroline Macy. This is Walker Fannin.
Lydia Camille Dixon.
I'm Sarah Dates Wardam.
My name is Linda Preston, and you're watching the Keith Andrew Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Keith Andrew Network. I am your host, Keith Andrew. Along here is Marc CashMan. I just want to say thank you for accepting my request and being a guest.
Thank you, Keith, for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
No, the honor is all mine. Now, for people who want to know what my talk show is about, the whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities. They should never give up and to prove people wrong. Show them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be and how it's going to describe your life. And to prove to them you can break the labels. So that being said, half hour, 37 minutes of your time. You gotta ask you some easy questions, some hard-hitting ones. Then we're going to take a break, and with the time remaining, pass the show over to you. You can ask me anything you want. And starting off with the easy ones, I saw that you're from LA, and let's start off with that one. I saw that you're from LA.
Well, it turns out that this year is my 40th year here in Los Angeles. I came from back east. I'm a New York boy, and but after about 25 years of cold, miserable cold, and heat, miserable heat, I decided I wanted to go to a more temperate climate. My criteria wasn't that much. All I wanted to do was go out on my terrace in the middle of February in t-shirts and shorts and flip-flops and cook on my barbecue. In the middle of February. There are very few places you can do that in this country, and that's Los Angeles or San Diego, and that's pretty much about it. Well, maybe Phoenix, maybe there, but pretty much Southern California is definitely the place to be. So I yes, although we've weathered earthquakes and we've weathered fires all over the place, we're still here. We're still intact. Fortunately, none of those natural disasters have affected me, and now I'm celebrating 40 years here in Los Angeles, and so I consider myself a native by now.
No, absolutely. I feel the same way about New York. You know, New York is really nice, and best healthcare. That's what people say. But I'm still working on. You know, LA's nice because I hate the snow. But then again, there's a part of me that's like, you can move to Seattle or you can go to Toronto. It's like, why you want to move? You just said you hate snow, but now you want to go where it snows.
It's true. And here in Los Angeles, you've got the beach. And then if you just drive just a couple of hours, you'll be in snow. I mean, we have the best of both worlds here. So anybody who misses snow, all they have to do is just drive up to the mountains. Boom, there it is.
No, I agree with you. And hey, you mentioned the beach. What's better than living near the beach when you have beautiful living, right?
There's nothing like it in Southern California. You can't believe. And of course, don't forget, Southern California is the home to Hollywood.
Yes.
And Hollywood is the home to every actor in the world. So you've got millions of actors running around whether they're downtown, whether they're in Century City, whether they're on in Hollywood, or whether they're on the beach. They're all over the place. So yes, we do have some very beautiful looking people here in Los Angeles. But it's still, they're still people.
It's true.
Yeah.
Now, my next question I was going to ask you, going to the other part, chapter 2 of the show, is I saw that you went to the University, don't mind me, you went to the University of Buffalo.
Yes, I did. And talk about cold.
So what was your major in, and what made you go to that college?
I got a what you call a scholarship to any one of the SUNY schools. So at that time, it was SUNY Buffalo, SUNY Binghamton, SUNY on Long Island. I'm trying to remember it.
Nassau.
Yes, and then one more SUNY. I think I want to say Albany or something like that. But there were four at that time, four SUNY schools, and I chose Buffalo. I was living in White Plains, New York. I was living in Westchester County, and I chose Buffalo because it was the farthest place away from my parents, still within the boundaries of New York State. So I figured they wouldn't be traveling to see me 500 miles, just to come up and see me. 500 miles is quite a distance there. So I figured, again, I'd put as much space as I could between me and my parents at the time, and it was a very wise choice.
It's funny. Personally, I never went to college, but I know people who can relate to that. To say, I'm going to move as far as way, but still be in distance.
Yeah, well, actually, the thing is, before I got my scholarship to SUNY Buffalo, I applied to the University of Hawaii.
Oh, nice.
And the University of Alaska. That's how much I wanted to get away.
Well,
if that tells you anything.
What did he want more? I'm going to University of Alaska or going to Hawaii? And I know you're going to say Hawaii.
Of course, any sane person would say Hawaii. The only problem with University of Hawaii was it wasn't a state school. I wasn't getting a scholarship, and it was very expensive, and just way too expensive for me, and I couldn't afford it. I was hoping maybe I'd get a scholarship, but no such luck.
Hey, never say never, right?
That's true. But truthfully, again, my grades were okay. They weren't stellar. My SATs were okay. They weren't stellar. So I didn't have a whole heck of a lot of choices. But I was very, very happy going to school in Buffalo. As cold as it was, and boy, it was cold. Let me tell you, cold is an understatement when you are living in Buffalo, New York. However, that said, I had a wonderful time, wonderful 4 years. I just had a great time and learned a lot. My major, political science, was something that, by the time I graduated, I said, what am I going to do with political science? Seriously, am I going to open up a political science shop on the corner? The only choice you have is basically going back to school, getting your master's and getting your PhD, and then teaching political science. And that's about the last thing I wanted to do. And I did end up getting my master's, but I got it in another area. I got it in education. And I was a teacher for 5 years in the public school system. And the first year, I worked with children who had a hard time reading. So I worked with kids who had disabilities and disadvantages and dyslexia and different forms of dyslexia, and just helping them figure out how to read and how to comprehend and we just figured out workarounds to help them navigate and do better. And some got it, some didn't. I tried my best. Stuck with it for a year, moved on to other teaching assignments and events, but 5 years was about it for me in the public school system. I loved teaching. I kind of sort of liked the kids, and I hated the system, the whole bureaucracy and the hierarchy, I just hated it. I just chafed under it completely. So I realized after 5 years it just was not for me, and that's when I moved out to Los Angeles.
No, I agree. Don't mind me. I have to let the cat out of the room. Well,
Not
the
a
next
problem.
question I was going to ask you is, so what, you mentioned you were a school teacher.
Yes.
What made you interested in becoming a school teacher?
I'd always enjoyed teaching. I always enjoyed teaching. I was teaching, even when I was in high school, I was teaching kids guitar, how to play guitar. And when I was in college, I was a tutor to make some extra money to pay for my college. So I was teaching kids. I was a tutor again during college, and so I always knew that I had a good facility to teach. So I figured, well, what the heck? The teaching is an honorable profession, and at the time, I needed a credential. So since I had my BA, I just went to graduate school and got my degree in again education, elementary education, and then became a legitimate teacher. But again, that just lasted maybe about, and I was teaching during school. While I was going to school, I was also teaching. So it was kind of everything was going hand in hand, and it worked out for a few years. But after a while, I realized the system wasn't for me. I'm not that whole bureaucracy and the hierarchy. I'm not that kind of person. And so I moved out to Los Angeles, not knowing anyone. And the only plan that I had was to do the one thing that I loved more than anything was to write and create. And I loved voiceover and voice acting. I loved commercials, believe it or not. And so I just decided to come to Los Angeles and be a commercial producer and specialize in radio and work with voice actors as opposed to on-camera actors. So a very, very special breed of actors, voice actors, the people that you never even see because they're behind the camera, not in front of it.
No, I agree, and that brings up my next next subject, actually, that you mentioned that you worked as a voiceover actor.
Yes.
And you were a producer.
Yes.
So how did you created your own company, more or less?
I did. I definitely created my own company, and once I started working with clients and companies and started writing and producing their commercials, invariably, very, very quickly, pretty much within about a year after I was doing this, a number of them would say to me, Mark, why don't you voice our commercial? Well, I had no training as an actor, none whatsoever. I did not come out here to be an actor. I came out here to be a writer and a producer. And so when they started asking me to voice their commercials, I said, oh boy, I better get some training. And so I immediately started enrolling in some acting classes and joining some voiceover workout groups and getting my acting chops very, very quickly, because I knew that, if one client was going to ask me to voice their spot, then other clients would probably ask me the same, so I better be ready. And that's what I did for, I would say a good 4 or 5 years, was take classes, join workout groups, and get myself to be a voice actor as well as a writer.
Now, what did you enjoy more? Did you ever get the opportunity to do voiceovers for cartoons, or did you like just doing short snippets for commercials?
I got the chance to do everything. I got commercials, I got documentaries, I got animated series, video games, everything. I got a chance to do all different genres and all different fields of voiceover, and And it was so cool because every day, and this is the amazing thing, Keith, is that every day is different, and it has been different. I'm not doing the same thing day after day after day. One day I'm writing, the next day I'm casting, the next day I'm producing, the next day I'm voicing, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So every day is different, and I never know what's going to come up. Obviously, I have things planned out and scheduled out, but I never know what's going to come up. And so whenever, like today, I woke up today and I said, what's going to happen this week? What's going to come out of the blue this week? And this morning, I was online on Skype, and this guy named Keith Andrew contacted me and said, hey, would you like to be on my podcast, my show? I didn't know that was going to happen until I woke up this morning. So you see, every day's different.
No, it's like the Batman one, the cartoon. What was it? Expect the unexpected?
Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Always expect the unexpected. You never know what's going to happen, and you never know what something's going to come out of left field, and all of a sudden, oh, okay, all right, well, let's do this. And that's the coolest thing ever. I feel sorry for people who are doing the same thing day after day after day after day with no change, nothing to look forward to, nothing exciting. It's just rote, work, and then you come home, and then you have a beer, and you pass out, and then the next day is the same.
No, I agree with you, and that's pretty much not what I want to be doing. I use my dad for an inspiration. He's been teaching for 36 years.
What does he teach?
Well, he's a former assistant principal, but he started off as a history teacher.
Uh-huh. Excellent.
And go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's great to have a role model.
No, absolutely. And it's just pretty much, I trying to find a word for it. I was basically pushed along from my high school years because, I was labeled as handicapped, mentally disturbed, or, retarded, that I was in special ed classes. So I was basically pushed along. So I got a IEP. Actually, I have to do that 3 times for an IEP. So I got a so-called degree, much better. And pretty much that's like, if you want to learn how to fix a refrigerator or work on a car, and like, that's fine down the road, but I don't want to do that for the rest of my life.
Right.
And I call it my boomerang, because, when you throw it, it's like, I don't have to do this, I don't have to do that. I'm going to use my disability as a crutch. I can get out of certain things. But as soon as the boomerang comes back and whacks you in the ass, it's kind of like, okay, you got what you wanted. Now people are going to treat you like you're handicapped because that's what you've been preaching for the past whatever years. So I said, basically, I was sitting at the table with my family, and I know I make people cry.
No, actually, it was I've been having allergies today, so it was my nose, actually.
Well, I do have that effect on people. And I was sitting with my family, and my brothers were saying, you should take the state exam, you should do this, you should do that. And I said, what about me? And everyone stops and looks at me and says, what about you? You're not educated. You can't go to college. You have poor people skills. You keep getting fired from every job you ever have. You piss people off. And you're just basically sucking the life out of everyone. And I said, you know what? I'm going to show you with a disability that it doesn't matter if I went to college or not. It doesn't matter if I'm handicapped or retarded. I'm going to show you what I can do. And I'm going to turn a weakness into a strength. And this June will be officially 5 years. So as of right now, it's been 4.5 years. I've been showing people day in, day out that I want to have my own talk show. This is what I want to do until I die. I'm not saying that to be funny or cute, but this is what I want to do. And I'm showing people, hey, yes, I may not be educated like, Joe Schmo over there, but look at what I'm capable of doing. So basically, I'm saying, and that goes back to labels don't dictate who you are and who you're going to be. It's saying I'm breaking a label. It's saying, yes, I'm classified as mentally challenged, mentally disturbed, but I'm breaking that label saying, look at what I'm able to accomplish, or look at what, I was able to achieve, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. You change your label, you change your life.
Yeah, I agree. Like I give you a perfect example. I got this pamphlet from I think it's like BOCES or Career Education Center. It teaches you, if you want to learn how to work on a stove or refrigerator, like I was telling you about. But yet, I want to show people, saying, look at what I have, and I'm going to change it.
Yes. Speaking of which, I have an idea, a suggestion for you. If you want, it's just a suggestion. But the main reason that I thought of this was because I was just at this place where this person was broadcasting from their room.
Yeah.
From their bedroom. Like you.
Unfortunately, but yes.
Yes, but here's what they did. They put a green screen behind them. You know what a green screen is?
Yes.
They put a green screen behind them, and then they were able to change their location to anywhere they wanted to be. And nobody saw their bedroom. They only saw the background. And so one week they were in Hawaii, and the next week they were in the Swiss Alps, and the next week they were in New York City. And they kept just changing their venue, their location through the green screen. And so the only people who knew that he was in his bedroom were his friends. But the rest of the world did not know.
Well, that's the thing. I don't want to be phony. I don't,
No,
I know what you're talking about,
But you don't have to be phony. That's not being phony. That's being professional. That's setting your own stage. That is not being phony at all. Nobody needs to know where you are. They just don't. And once you have that green screen behind you, they won't know that you could be anywhere. So that's it. It is not phony for a second. It's not make-believe. It's make-believe, but it's not phony. And just think about it. All the programs you see, all the TV shows, all the films, they all have a set. They all have a location, all right? So, and now with technology, the cost of a green screen and what you put behind it, the cost is negligible, considering, the cost of everything else these days. So, again, just a suggestion, Keith, just something to consider. So you don't have to make excuses. You don't have to say, I'm sorry, I'm from my bedroom, or whatever the case may be. And this way you look more professional, and you entertain people. That's the whole point, is it not? To entertain?
No, absolutely. And that's why, I made up my mind a long time ago. I was thinking about having like an extra poster behind that belt. It's to make my own decoration, my own set.
Yes.
I'm going to show people, hey, this is who I am. I'm real, and I don't have to put a face on for anyone.
Right. That's right. Absolutely. That's great. How long have you been doing this podcast?
I would say about 4.5 years. Like I mentioned, this June will be 5.
Fabulous. That's wonderful. You're really, really sticking to it. You're tenacious.
No, absolutely. This is what I want to do until I die. So I'm very passionate about it.
Excellent. Excellent. Keep going. Keep it going, my friend.
Now, with that being said, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, I'm going to pass the show over to you.
Thank you.
Me, Mark Medley.
Hi, everybody. This is Mark Neely.
Barry Papick.
This is Peter Bruno.
My name is Kyle Collier.
This is Julio Santiago, better known as Dynamite.
I'm Richard Epcar.
Orange Chow.
This is Kerrigan Mahan.
This is Goldar.
And we both support
Keith Andrew.
My name is Ron Wasserman, and I am supporting Keith Andrew on what he is doing, and you better do the same, or I'm going to come kick your ass.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 432. I am your host, Keith Andrew. Along here is Marc CashMan. Marc CashMan, yes.
Cashman.
CashMan.
Oh.
No disrespect.
Not a problem.
Now, with that being said, with the last 7 minutes left of the show, I'm going to pass it over to you. Was there anything you wanted to talk about, anything you want to promote? This is your time, after all.
Well, thank you, Keith. I really appreciate it. I'm not sure, it doesn't really matter how many people are listening. It's more quality than quantity in this particular case. But those people who are listening, I'm sure that, and if this is not your first time listening to Keith, then you understand basically where he's coming from in terms of dealing with disabilities on a day-to-day basis. The majority of people don't have these kind of disabilities, and they don't understand what it's like on a day-to-day basis to deal with this. And they take it for granted. They take their own health and faculties for granted many, many times. But Keith is a perfect example of somebody who goes beyond their disabilities, wants to show people that labels are not engraved in stone, and that people can push the envelope and think outside the box and figure out workarounds to help them navigate life. So, that said, if somebody with disabilities, let's say, wants to go into the arts, whether it's dance, whether it's music, whether it's writing, whether it's acting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, the field of performance and art is very, very competitive. And that's competitive for people who do not have any disabilities. That said, I've worked with a number of people who have disabilities, and they, just like Keith, have proven that they can go beyond their label. And when Keith and I just first started talking off the air, I told him that I've worked with a couple of voice actors who are blind. Now, a blind voice actor technically is an oxymoron. I mean, it's almost impossible to think of a voice actor being blind, because a voice actor's job is to read words cold. And so, but the thing is that the voice actors who I've worked with, the blind voice actors who I've worked with, have figured out workarounds so that they may not be reading cold, but they will get all the copy. They'll convert it in their brailler, and then they will figure out that they'll see exactly what they're working with through braille. And the technology now to help blind people is absolutely amazing. It's really, really something. So all I can tell you is that, because again, I work with a couple of blind voice actors. If you can be a blind voice actor, you can do anything. And I was telling Keith, I was joking with Keith earlier too, that people sometimes tell me, I don't know if I can do this. This is too hard. And I say to them, oh yeah? Well, I work with a couple of blind voice actors. Now tell me that you can't do it. And so it's all perspective. And it's also a matter of how much you want it. And look at Mr. Andrew. He's been doing this going on 5 years now, and he's still at it. He's tenacious, and I'm sure that each interview you do gets better and better and better. And you've got a nice body of work there under your belt, and hopefully if you get enough followers, you could put this on YouTube, have a channel, and start actually earning a living just doing this.
Well, it's funny to mention that. I'm already on YouTube, and there's over 400, and thanks to you, 432 interviews there. And I'm still working on the money part. But if you know people, maybe you can work something out.
It takes a while. Do you know how many followers you have at this point?
Let's see. Twitter, I'm trying to get 1,000, but right now it's over 800.
That's great.
Facebook, I have to send you a Facebook fan page link. That's
Okay.
over 500. It's going to be near 6.
Great.
Instagram's going to be near 300. And as far as YouTube, the YouTube page, that's over 200.
Fabulous, fabulous. It's going to take a while, to get up there where you can actually make some money from YouTube. You have to have a lot of followers there. But look, you've done it. You've gone this far. There's no stopping you now.
No, absolutely. Actually, there's one website I do want to plug real fast before I ask you the last 2 questions.
Yes.
And that is Celebrity VM. I'm on Celebrity VM, so I can give you a perfect example. Also, it's perfect for you because it's for voiceovers, actors, actresses, models, wrestlers. So you come across my profile, and it says, okay, for $30, it looks like you do shout-outs. So an example, for $30, and I can wish you a happy birthday, congratulations on getting married, and there's hundreds of different wrestlers from TNA to WWE to WCW. And you can ask me anything you want, any words of wisdom, recommendations, words of encouragement, or inspire people. So I'm showing that, hey, I'm just like everyone else. So for $30, you can ask me anything you want. I'm cheap because they take, like a $5 fee. So $30 for me, and for you, you can charge $30, you can charge $20. It's the lower you go, more of a fee they take. Like say 20, they take like 5. So I say at least I get 25 out of it, or at least 20. Money doesn't really matter to me. It's just I want to get myself out there. But go to celebrityvm.com, and it's pretty much a nice way I can get extra money on the side.
That's wonderful, wonderful. Keep up the good work. I hope you make a lot of money.
Yeah, me too. Knock on wood. Now, wrapping up the show, I do have a couple. I can't even talk.
It's okay.
Wrapping up your talk show, I do have a couple questions for you.
Sure.
But the first one I'm going to ask you is: are you on social media? LinkedIn, Stage 32, Twitter, and how can your fans follow you?
Well, first of all, anybody can write to me at any time. It's Marc, M-A-R-C, at CashmanCommercials.com. That's CashMan Commercials, Commercials.com. That's my email address. People can write to me anywhere. They can also find me on LinkedIn. I'm on there a lot. In fact, I have almost 30,000 followers on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook as well. So you can just Google my name Google. You can type in my name on Facebook. I'm on Twitter as well. Marc Cashman VO is my Twitter handle. If you Google my name, Marc, M-A-R-C, Cashman, C-A-S-H-M-A-N, an embarrassing number of pages will come up. And so anything you ever wanted to know about me, you can find out in an instant, which is pretty scary sometimes. That's the way the world is now. I'm not on Instagram because I just don't have enough time in the day, and the other site that you mentioned, I just don't have enough time in the day to cover all of these sites and still do my job. You know what I mean? It takes time to be on LinkedIn and to be on Twitter and to be on Facebook and to do whatever it is you have to do there. For those, however, who are following me on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn, I have been posting a voiceover tip every day, consecutive, for the past 289 days. Actually, 290 days. 290 consecutive days I've been posting a voiceover tip. And so if you click on if you put my name in any of those places, you'll come up with a whole bunch of voiceover tips if you're interested.
No,
so that's my social media activity.
No, I do have a couple questions for you off the air, but the last thing I do want to ask you is when I first approached you, you're being a guest on my talk show. What was and be completely honest with this answer, what was your first reaction and what made you say yes?
My first reaction was, sure, why not? I do podcasts with lots of people all over the world. So my first reaction was, sure, of course, absolutely. Well, I love to be your guest and would love to help people if they are interested in voice acting and voiceover. I'm a great contact. I've been doing this for 40 years. People need, if they're interested in something, they want to go to somebody who's reputable, somebody who is known in the business, someone who they can trust, and someone who's knowledgeable. And so I put myself out there for podcasts, for radio interviews, TV interviews, newspaper and magazine interviews. I am a guest speaker and master class instructor at conventions and voiceover events and conferences all over the world. And again, I've been doing this for 40 years. So again, it's just if somebody, most of the time, unless I'm very, very busy, if I've got the time, if I have, a half an hour or an hour free, and your timing was perfect, by the way. It was absolutely perfect. I'd gotten all my stuff done in the morning, and my afternoon was free, and I thought that I was going to go, maybe just go ride to the beach, and then you called, and I said, okay, I'll work with Keith.
No, I appreciate it. And actually, we're wrapping up. What is your opinion on the talk show? Like, how do you feel after being a guest?
Oh, I feel great because people have asked me relevant questions. Hopefully, I've given them relevant answers, and there are a lot of people out there they're kind of cloistered. They're kind of cut off, and they want to hear new information, interesting information, something that will pique their interest and possibly get them to do something that they've never done before. So new input always results in something coming together, something again, many times when we learn something new, we say, oh, I'd like to follow that up. I'd like to find out more about that. And that's basically why I do these interviews, is to pique people's interest and let them know that there's life beyond the front porch.
That's true. Now, wrapping up our interview segment, it was a real honor with having you as a guest, and I'm looking forward to part 2 down the road.
Thank you so much, Keith. Me too. Contact me anytime, and we'll follow up on part 2.